There exists a silent current that flows between you and the one you love, unseen, unheard, yet infinitely powerful. It is the telepathic signal of your own imagination, constantly transmitting your emotional truth into the unseen world. The question is not whether your SP can feel it, they already do. The real question is, what are you sending? Tonight, you will discover how your thoughts, your feelings, and your inner assumptions can bridge any distance, melt any resistance, and magnetically draw your true love into the visible world of form. Stay till the end. The revelation will transform your understanding of love forever. What if your SP could feel your love even in silence? What if every thought you send becomes a telepathic bridge between your hearts? Tonight, you'll learn to transmit love so powerfully it becomes impossible to ignore. Listen closely, for what I am about to tell you is not a theory. It is a living truth that unfolds in the silence of your own being. You have within you a power so subtle, so precise, that the entire universe bends to it without sound, without movement, without visible effort. This is the silent language of the soul, a language that speaks without words and is heard beyond the limits of distance. You have spoken it 1,000 times, though you did not know it. Every desire you have felt deeply, every image that you held with passion, every tear shed in secret for love, all of it was a signal, a message sent into the unseen realm, received by the one who is bound to you in the invisible network of consciousness. When you sit alone, thinking of your beloved, believing you are apart, you are mistaken. You are already united in thought. There is no separation except in appearance, for consciousness is one, and in that oneness, every thought is a thread that binds you closer. Your words, your inner dialogue, your feelings. These are not idle things, they are frequencies, living vibrations that travel instantly to the object of your affection. You may whisper no word aloud, yet your soul speaks continually. You may not touch their hand, yet your energy wraps around them as surely as sunlight wraps the earth. You have wondered why some people enter your thoughts again and again, why you dream of them without effort, why sometimes you feel their emotions as if they were your own. This is not coincidence, it is communion. You are attuned to them because your inner state aligns with theirs. Every human being lives within the one divine imagination, and when two states of consciousness harmonize, the distance between hearts collapses into nothing. So I say to you, if you desire to be heard by your beloved, speak not through pleading words or anxious gestures, but through feeling. The soul has no need for spoken language, it understands vibration. When you imagine your SP with love, when you see them happy in your mind, when you rest in the certainty that you are already connected, your feeling becomes a broadcast, a signal M, oving through the ether, received instantly by their deeper mind. They may not know why they suddenly think of you, why they feel a rush of tenderness or a longing to reach out, but it is your telepathic current moving through them, stirring remembrance, awakening love. Do not think that distance or silence breaks this bond. Physical space is powerless before thought. What seems far away in the world of form is already close in the realm of imagination. If you could but still your outer senses for a moment and turn inward, you would feel it, a living current of energy flowing from you to them and back again. Your emotions color this current. If you feel lack, you send a signal of absence. If you feel fulfilled, you send a signal of union. And they respond to whichever vibration you persist in. So when you say, they don't love me, that becomes your telepathic message, and they receive it unconsciously, mirroring it in their behavior. But when you inwardly declare, they are drawn to me, they feel my love, they cannot forget me, and feel the truth of it, as though it were already done, that signal too is received. And life begins to shape itself to that belief. You are not a victim of circumstance, you are the transmitter of it. Your inner world sends out waves that rearrange the outer scene until it matches your assumption. I want you to imagine now that your mind is a vast luminous field of light, and in that light exists a single pulse, the thought of your beloved. Feel it glowing, steady, serene. Now breathe, and with every breath allow the image of that person to become clearer. Do not imagine them distant. See them as already near, already in harmony with you. As you hold that image, allow gratitude to rise, not for what will come, but for what already is. Feel the joy of connection, the certainty that your message is received, for it is received the instant it is imagined. You see, this is not about convincing other person to act. It is about entering the state where union is natural. In that state, communication is effortless. You are not trying to reach them. You are remembering that you are never apart. This realization changes everything. Once you feel it, you no longer chase. You no longer wait. You radiate. You become a living magnet for the reflection of your inner truth. Every time you think lovingly, you tune yourself to the frequency of love. And on that frequency, all who are meant to share that vibration must appear. Your SP feels the pull of it, not as manipulation, but as recognition. They feel safe, seen, understood, because your inner world has embraced them as already yours. That is the telepathic language of the heart. It does not demand, it does not question, it simply knows. And this knowing, when sustained, becomes creation. You must be loyal to this invisible connection, even when the outer world tempts you to doubt. If they seem cold, remember they are acting out the signal you previously sent. Change the signal, and there, our actions must change too. Do not fight appearances, transcend them by feeling the truth beyond them. Walk by faith in your imagination. The outer world eventually aligns with your inner conviction. Close your eyes often and imagine your SP not as someone distant, but as someone who already feels what you feel. See their eyes soften when they think of you. Feel the warmth in your heart expand and meet theirs in a silent embrace. This is not fantasy, it is communication at the highest level of being. The more vivid and natural this becomes, the faster the outer signs appear: a message, a call, a sudden encounter, all orchestrated by the unseen intelligence that governs your connection. And when you understand this, you no longer fear silence. You welcome it, for silence becomes the sacred space where your telepathic bond grows stronger. In that quiet, you realize you are always heard, always felt, always responded to. Love is not something to be earned. It is something to be recognized within yourself and shared through your state of being. The one who feels love will be loved. The one who assumes union will live union. So I say to you, stop searching outside. Think back to moments when someone called you just as you were thinking of them, or when you sensed a person's mood before they spoke a word. You said it was coincidence. It was not. It was the movement of thought, invisible yet exact. You are constantly transmitting, constantly creating responses in others, though you may be asleep to it. The question is not whether this transmission exists, but whether you will learn to direct it consciously. If you would send a message to your SP, you must first decide what station you are broadcasting from. Are you transmitting from longing or fulfillment, from fear or faith? Because the quality of your imagination determines the quality of the signal. If you imagine them distant, uncertain, confused, that is the image that travels. But if you close your eyes and imagine them filled with love, compelled by joy to move toward you, your message is one of certainty, and certainty compels expression. Let us make this practical. Sit quietly and withdraw your attention from the outer world. Let the noise of the senses fade. Now picture your SP, not as they appear in the world, but as they would appear if all were perfect. See them at peace, smiling, gazing at you with love. Do not see yourself begging or waiting. See yourself fulfilled, content, cherished. In this vision, feel the air of completion, the warmth of unity. Hear their voice in your imagination saying the very words your heart longs to hear. And as you hear them, feel that those words are true now. That feeling is a signal. That image, clothed in emotion, travels instantly to their subconscious mind, and there it begins to stir recognition. Imagination is the womb of creation. What you conceive there must be born here. But you cannot plant 2 seeds and expect 1 harvest. You cannot send a signal of love tonight and one of doubt tomorrow and wonder why the air between you is filled with confusion. The transmitter must be steady. It must hum with one vibration, only the vibration of the accomplished desire. The moment you persist in this state, the unseen begins to rearrange itself. Circumstances shift, people are moved, chance events align, all to mirror your inner picture. There is no need for effort, for this transmission is effortless. You do not force the signal, you become it. The more naturally you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the more constant your vibration becomes. Then, without conscious thought, your SP begins to dream of you, remember you, sense your energy. They may even wake with a sudden impulse to call, to see you, to reconcile, without understanding why. They are responding to the message you sent through imagination. And so I say to you, take your imagination seriously. It is not child's play, it is divine play. Every scene you hold in the mind, every inner conversation you repeat, every emotion you nourish becomes a living broadcast. The universe responds not to words, but to states. When you assume the state of being Ovid, the state of being chosen, that state emits a signal that no human heart can resist. If you could see the unseen world, you would behold streams of light flowing from every person, colors of thought, shapes of feeling, all mingling in the great field of consciousness. When your thought is charged with emotion, it travels faster, shines brighter, pierces deeper. And when your heart is pure in its intention, when you imagine from love rather than need, your signal moves without obstruction, touching the very soul of your beloved. You may wonder, how can I be sure they receive it? You can be sure because imagination is creation itself. Whatever you imagine with full conviction must find its echo in the outer world. The proof of transmission is not in waiting for signs, but in feeling the reality of the inner act. When you feel it as done, you have already communicated perfectly. Think of the world as a mirror that cannot resist your reflection. Change the picture within, and the mirror must change without. That picture is painted by imagination, colored by feeling, and framed by faith. If you imagine separation, you see distance. If you imagine union, you see love. You are the artist and the sender of every image you experience. There are those who believe that communication must be spoken, that love must be expressed through words. Yet words are but shadows of thought. The true communication occurs before a single sound is made. Have you not felt someone's mood without asking? Have you not walked into a room and sensed tension or joy? That is telepathic resonance, imagination at work, invisible but undeniable. When you master this consciously, you no longer plead for love, you radiate it in this radiant state. You do not chase, you attract. You do not hope, you know. For imagination is not something you do, it is what you are. You are imagination expressing itself through form. The body, the world, the circumstances are merely reflections of your inner imagery. If you desire change, you must begin where all change begins, in the unseen workshop of mind. Each night before you sleep, enter the scene of fulfillment. See your SP beside you, feel their presence as real. Whisper to them inwardly, you and I are one in love. Let that be your final thought before sleep, for in that drowsy borderland, imagination is most potent. What you conceive in that state sinks into the subconscious and travels outward as an irresistible force. And when morning comes, carry that feeling lightly, without strain. Go about your day knowing your signal has been sent. Do not search for results. Live as though the message has already produced its fruit. Every gesture, every word, every step you take should be consistent with that inner knowing. For imagination does not need your supervision, it needs your faith. In time, you will notice changes, subtle at first, then undeniable. A message appears, a coincidence aligns, a heart softens. These are not miracles, they are nature. All responses to the energy you have emitted. You will come to see that imagination is not confined to thought, it is creative substance itself. It does not merely transmit, it transforms. The moment you grasp this truth, you become free. You realize that the bridge between you and your SP was never broken, it only awaited the right signal. And that signal is your sustained assumption, your living image of love fulfilled. When imagination rules, life obeys. When you live from the end, your transmission is perfect, and the one you love must respond, for consciousness recognizes only itself in all its forms. You see now that your imagination is not merely a faculty within you, it is the very foundation of your world. But imagination alone, without the inner certainty of fulfillment, drifts like a signal lost in static. The transmission must carry a frequency strong enough to pierce through doubt, and that frequency is assumption. What you assume to be true becomes the law by which the unseen operates. The universe does not respond to your wishes, it responds to your inner acceptance of something as already done. There is a difference between hoping laughter, sense their warmth, and refuse to waver when appearances suggest otherwise. For every outer delay is but the rearranging of reality to match your inner acceptance. Assumption is faith clothed in feeling. You cannot simply think your way into it, you must feel your way into it. Thinking says, I believe it's possible. Feeling says, it is done. The difference is everything. When you feel from the end, your subconscious accepts the message as fact, and creation begins instantly. The subconscious has no sense of time or distance, it knows only completion. When it receives a command wrapped in feeling, it begins to build the outer structure to support that inner reality. I tell you, if you could only grasp the power of this truth, you would never beg or chase again. You would never look to others for proof of your worth. You would simply enter the feeling of being loved and let that assumption do its silent work. It will draw to you the people, the words, the situations that reflect the love you have already claimed. That is the frequency of assumption. It is not noise. It is signal pure and strong, carrying your truth into the fabric of life itself. The reason most fail to manifest their desires is not because the law does not work, but because they move between states from faith to fear, from assumption to doubt. One moment they feel the wish fulfilled, the next they look for evidence and undo their own creation. You cannot serve two masters. You must remain faithful to the end you have imagined. When the inner state becomes your dwelling place, the outer world becomes its reflection. So I say, live from the end, not toward it. Speak as though your SP already adores you. Walk as though you are already in union. Let your conversations with yourself be those of someone who has already received the love they once desired. When your inner world becomes consistent with that truth, the outer world must obey. For the law of assumption is perfect. It cannot fail when persisted in. There is no force more magnetic than quiet certainty. You have felt it before in those rare moments when you simply knew something would happen, and it did. That knowing is the language of assumption. When you live in that feeling every day, your SP feels it too. They do not understand it logically, but they sense it energetically. They are drawn by an unseen thread to fulfill the picture you hold. The phone call, the message, the meeting, all of it is the physical translation of your invisible assumption. You may wonder how to hold this feeling when the senses scream otherwise. The secret is to separate imagination from evidence. The senses only echo your past assumptions. They are not authorities. The imagination reveals your future. If you cling to what your eyes see, you remain trapped in yesterday's belief. But if you trust what your inner eye sees, you step into tomorrow's fulfillment. The senses will catch up. They always do. Close your eyes for a moment and feel what T means to be loved completely. Do not imagine the process. Imagine the result. Feel the security of being chosen, the warmth of being wanted, the peace of knowing it is done. Linger in that state until it feels natural. That is the frequency of assumption. That is the living prayer that never fails. You must make this a habit, not an experiment. Each morning, rise as the one who is already loved. Each night, fall asleep in that state. Refuse to entertain stories of rejection or delay. For as long as you hold the assumption, the universe holds it with you. The unseen forces move silently, aligning all things to bring your inner picture to life. It may come in ways unexpected, through people you never imagined, but it will come, for assumption is the bridge between desire and manifestation. The outer world is but the slow motion of the inner. Every circumstance you face today is the shadow of an old assumption. Change the inner state now, and a new shadow will soon appear. Do not fight the old shadow, it is already dying. Simply replace it with a new assumption of fulfillment, and the process begins anew. Remember, you are not waiting for love to find you. Love is waiting for you to assume it. The moment you do, the current of life begins to carry you effortlessly toward the expression of that truth. Your SP will feel it as a sudden inspiration, a stirring of affection, a pull they cannot name. They may think it was their own decision, but you will know it was the echo of your assumption. Hold this inner certainty as you would hold a precious flame. Protect it from the winds of doubt. Feed it with gratitude, with imagination, with quiet confidence. The stronger your assumption burns, the brighter its reflection becomes in your world. You need no proof beyond the peace you feel within. For peace is the surest sign that the wish is fulfilled. When you live in that peace, life becomes effortless. You are no longer trying to make things happen. You are watching them unfold naturally, inevitably, perfectly. And as you rest in the feeling of completion, the world bends to reflect your belief, and the signal of your love shines so brightly that the one meant for you cannot help but answer it. And yet, even as the heart begins to rest in that assurance, the mind will whisper its oldest lie that distance separates you, that time delays you, that love must cross oceans and months to reach you. But I tell you now, distance is only a dream of the senses. There is no space between two states of consciousness vibrating in harmony. The seeming miles between you and your beloved are nothing more. Truth, they are as close as your next breath. For consciousness is omnipresent. You live and move within the one mind, the one field of awareness that holds every being, every thought, every spark of life. When you enter the feeling of union, you transcend all barriers of geography and circumstance. The invisible bridge of imagination is already built. You need only walk upon it with faith. There was never a wall between you, only the shadow of a forgotten truth. The shadow says, they are out there. The truth says, they are here, now. Every moment you accept the latter, your signal grows stronger. Your SP begins to sense your presence, not as a thought they can analyze, but as a warmth they cannot deny. They feel drawn toward you as though guided by an unseen magnet. It is the law of consciousness fulfilling itself through you. You must understand that time and space are conditions of the physical mind, not of the soul. In imagination, you can be anywhere instantly. You can embrace your SP, hear their laughter, feel their heart against yours, and in that very act, you are doing more than imagining. You are collapsing the illusion of distance. The world outside will eventually mirror that collapse, but within, it happens the moment you feel it. The error most make is to let their outer eyes dictate their inner truth. They say, we live in different cities, or we haven't spoken in months. And so they continue to recreate separation through belief. They kneel before appearances, forgetting that within the one consciousness both of you share. They receive it instantly, not as a word, but as a feeling, a pull, a memory, a soft echo that stirs their heart. And because all creation responds to vibration, the path between you rearranges itself to make union inevitable. If you have ever felt someone thinking of you, a sudden wave of emotion, an unexplainable thought of their name, then you have already experienced this truth. You are both receivers and transmitters of energy. Every emotion you sustain becomes a magnetic signal, and love is the most powerful frequency of all. Fear divides, love unites. When you send love, pure and unwavering, distance melts like ice under the sun. You do not have to visualize maps or flights or messages traveling through time. Those are symbols for the mind. The real movement happens in the unseen. The moment you claim we are already together, your imagination carries you beyond the borders of the physical. You are living now in a dimension where union is the only reality. Stay there often. Let it become your home. From that inner dwelling, everything else flows naturally. There is a sweetness that comes when you finally grasp this truth, the sweetness of effortlessness. You stop straining to make things happen. You stop counting days or questioning silence. You rest in the knowing that what is united in imagination must appear united in form. You are no longer chasing, you are remembering. The distance you once feared becomes the stage upon which love reveals its power to transcend every limit. So if ever your mind begins to cry out, they are so far away, answer it with the quiet authority of truth. They are as near as thought, as close as breath, as one with me as my own heartbeat. Say it not as an affirmation of hope, but as a statement of fact. Feel its reality until the feeling is more tangible than any outer fact. That is the moment you dissolve distance, and when you walk through your day, carry that awareness lightly. Speak to them inwardly with tenderness. Hear their reply in the silence. Smile at the invisible presence beside you. Every act of acknowledgement strengthens the bridge between you. You will begin to notice strange coincidences, songs, numbers, dreams, moments of synchronicity. These are not random, they are confirmations that your signal has been received and that the world is already arranging itself to bring the invisible into view. Never confuse the appearance of delay with denial. Delay is simply the time it takes for your senses to catch up with your new assumption. The union already exists. The physical world must bend to it, for it has no choice but to obey consciousness. As you persist, distance dissolves in ways that seem miraculous but are perfectly natural. A message appears at the right moment. A circumstance shifts. A meeting occurs, and those who once seemed far away stand before you, drawn by the same unseen power you nurtured within. This is the mystery of love in Motio. It crosses every border, every ocean, every doubt. It knows no obstacle but your disbelief. And when disbelief fades, the whole universe becomes a single point of contact where you and your SP exist as one. You are not reaching across space, you are awakening to the eternal closeness that has always been. For in truth, you were never apart, you only dreamed you were. And now the dream ends the moment you remember who you are and where your beloved has always been within you, inseparable, timeless, here. And as you awaken to that truth, something remarkable begins to unfold. The outer world, once thought separate and indifferent, starts to mirror your inner state with breathtaking precision. Every glance, every silence, every gesture from your SP becomes a reflection of the picture you hold within. This is the mirror of consciousness, and it spares no one. Life does not send random experiences. It only returns what you radiate from the secret chambers of your imagination. If you want to see what you truly believe about love, look not at your affirmations, but at your reflections. The mirror never lies. It shows you your assumptions made visible, your thoughts clothed in flesh, your emotions given voice through others. This is not punishment, it is revelation. It is the universe gently whispering, here is what you have been sending. Would you like to send something new? Many suffer because they look into the mirror and curse their own reflection. They see rejection and assume the world is against them. They see silence and think they are forgotten. But the wise one understands the outer world is only echoing the vibration held within. The moment you change the inner image, the reflection must obey. You cannot polish the mirror to change the face, you must change the expression you wear before it. So, if your SP seems distant, cold, or indifferent, do not fight their behavior. See it for what it is, an echo of an old state of consciousness. You once imagined yourself as unloved, unwanted, or uncertain, and life, faithful servant that it is, reflected that belief. But the instant you assume the feeling of being adored, the mirror begins to shimmer, to shift, to rearrange itself. Slowly at first, perhaps, but inevitably. For consciousness, when changed, compels its reflection. Care, that very belief fogs the mirror, dimming the reflection of love that was waiting to appear. But when you silently declare, they adore me, they feel my presence, they are drawn to me with irresistible affection, the glass clears and the reflection brightens with new life. The mirror of consciousness is perfect because it cannot lie. It only gives you yourself. It does not judge your desires, it simply amplifies your assumption. It says, as you believe, so it shall be. If you believe in delay, delay becomes your reflection. If you believe in instant connection, connection becomes your reflection. The law is impartial. It loves you so deeply that it must always agree with you. Do you see how powerful this makes you? You are not the victim of reflection, you are its source. The world bends around your feeling of self. When you feel small, the world appears vast and unkind. When you feel whole, the world reflects wholeness back to you. The same SP who seemed unreachable yesterday will tomorrow become tender, attentive, responsive, not because they have changed independently, but because you have changed your concept of yourself in relation to them. Begin then by revising your image of love. Stop looking at the outer behavior and asking, why do they treat me this way? Instead, ask, what must I have assumed to experience this? That single question dissolves resentment and restores power. For now you know where the true change must occur, not in them, but in you. As you lift your inner concept, the mirror rises to meet it. Let us take a simple practice. Tonight, before you sleep, imagine your SP exactly as you wish them to be, not as they are, but as they would be if they mirrored your highest idea of love. See their eyes filled with admiration. Hear their voice soft with devotion. And now, rather than trying to make them act that way, feel yourself as the one who is naturally loved in that manner. The moment you assume that feeling, the mirror begins to rearrange. Your SPS behavior may shift subtly at first, a message, a glance, a change in tone, but these are signs that the reflection is catching up to the image. Do not seek proof before believing. Believe and proof will appear. The mirror has no power to originate, it only imitates. When you complain, you command it to repeat complaint. When you rejoice, you command it to repeat joy. You are forever instructing the universe with your moods. The outer world is your student, learning every gesture, every tone of voice, every assumption. You teach it. And so I say, teach it love. Teach it certainty. Teach it the language of union. Stand before the mirror of life and declare with calm conviction, I am loved. I am chosen. I am seen. Feel those words sink deep into your being. Let them become your new natural state. In time, the reflection cannot help but align. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude is not merely saying thank you. It is recognizing that the mirror has already changed, even if the image has not yet cleared. When you feel thankful for love before you see it, you are telling the universe, this is my reflection now. Gratitude polishes the glass, allowing your assumption to appear more vividly. Many think manifestation requires great effort, but it does not. It requires consistency of assumption. The mirror does not need to be pushed. It needs to be faced with the right image. If you persist in seeing yourself as loved, valued, and secure, the reflection must obey. That is law. Your SP cannot resist this change, for they live within your world, and your world lives within you. As your inner dialogue softens, theirs softens. As you forgive, they approach. As you believe in harmony, harmony appears. You may think they chose to return, but in truth, they simply mirrored the shift that occurred in you. This understanding sets you free. You no longer blame or beg, for you know the source. You no longer wonder what they think, for you have already instructed their subconscious through your own. You no longer fear the future, for you are writing it now with every thought you dare to sustain. The mirror is ever faithful, ever obedient, ever ready to reveal your new reflection. So walk gently through your days, not seeking change outside, but radiating it within. Let every step declare, I am already what I desire to be. Soon the mirror will sparkle with new life, and all who look upon you, your SP included, will see not the person who once waited, but the one who now shines with fulfilled love. For the mirror can only give what you have chosen to become. And when you become love itself, the entire world bows to reflect it. And in that transformation, something even deeper begins to unfold, a stillness, a holy moment where words fall silent and feeling takes command. This is the sacred instant when you enter the state of the fulfilled desire and your signal is received. It is not transmitted through distance, nor through time, nor through spoken word, but through the very fabric of consciousness itself. You do not send your love outward like an arrow hoping to strike its mark. Rather, you become the vibration of love. And in that becoming, the one you love cannot help but feel it. There is no separation in consciousness. What you call distance is merely a belief held in mind, a habit of perception. The truth is that your SP exists in the same vast field of awareness as you do. And within that field, every thought is a ripple, every emotion a wave that moves through the unseen ocean of spirit. When you assume the feeling of being deeply loved, that assumption becomes a pulse, a frequency, a signal, and it reaches your SP without fail. This is not imagination as a daydream. It is imagination as creation. When you enter the feeling of fulfillment, you are not pretending, you are participating in the divine act of creation itself. You are molding the unseen substance of life into form. You are taking hold of invisible energy and shaping it into reality by the authority of your assumption. The moment you feel your wish is already accomplished, the world must reorganize itself to express that conviction. Have you ever sat in silence and suddenly felt the presence of someone thinking of you? Perhaps you thought of a friend, and moments later they called, or you felt your SPS name flash across your mind. Soon you saw a sign, a message, or a dream. That was not coincidence. It was telepathic resonance, 2 points of consciousness vibrating on the same frequency of attention. The outer event was merely the visible shadow of an inner union. Now, Imagine using that power deliberately. Imagine entering that silent communion not as one who longs, but as one who is. You close your eyes and move inward, not to plead, but to possess. You feel their hand in yours, not as imagination, but as fact. You hear their voice softly speaking your name, not as hope, but as remembrance. In that sacred inner moment, you are not trying to create connection. You are realizing that it already exists. You are tuning yourself to the frequency of love. And love, recognizing itself, answers instantly. Your SP does not need to be told in words that you love them. Words belong to the world of delay, but feeling belongs to eternity. When you feel the truth of your union as real, the message is received before you even finish the thought. You may not see the evidence immediately, but the communication is complete. The signal has been sent, and reality is already bending to make it visible. This is the mystery the world overlooks, that imagination is not a private dream, but a universal language. Every emotion you sustain is a broadcast into the infinite. When you hold fear, you send out the vibration of absence, and absence returns. When you hold confidence, you send the vibration of possession, and possession comes rushing in. That is why the moment of inner union is so powerful. It replaces separation with certainty, longing with fulfillment, desire with being. Do not confuse the silence with inactivity. It is the most potent action in existence. In that quiet stillness, creation is complete. When you feel the wish fulfilled, you are no longer reaching outward, you are standing in the finished scene. The energy that once cried, "I need," has been transmuted into "I am." The telepathic signal sent from that state is irresistible because it is born from truth, not from need. The one you love begins to sense a shift on, and there is nothing to wait for because you already are what you desire to be. You are the beloved. You are the chosen. You are the one whose love cannot be denied. Hold that feeling gently, confidently, like a sacred flame, and you will discover that the outer world must rearrange itself to match the fire that burns within. Sometimes people ask, how long will it take? The answer is simple. It takes as long as it takes for you to feel that it has already happened. Time is only a measure of belief. The instant you surrender the idea of waiting, time collapses, and what seemed distant becomes immediate. When you dwell in the state of fulfilled love, you draw the future into the now. You do not chase, you attract. You do not request, you radiate. Every great union begins in that invisible realm. Before two souls meet in body, they have already met in spirit. Before two eyes meet in recognition, their imaginations have already embraced. The outer meeting is only the delayed reflection of that invisible handshake. So if you long for your SP, do not seek them outside yourself, meet them inwardly first. Build your relationship where it truly exists in the realm of feeling. Go into your inner sanctuary and speak to them there. Tell them what you wish to hear from them. Feel their response as if it were now. Let the conversation unfold naturally in imagination until it feels complete. Then release it, not with worry, but with faith. The moment you feel satisfaction, you have communicated. The moment you feel peace, your message has been received. You may notice afterward that the world begins to rearrange in subtle ways. Encounters happen, coincidences appear, hearts soften, paths cross again. These are not random. They are echoes of that moment of silent union reverberating through the fabric of reality. Every event, every meeting, every message that follows is simply the outer confirmation of the inner connection that was already made. And when you understand this, you stop seeking signs and start living as the sign itself. You no longer look to the outer world for validation because you have felt the completion within. You walk through your days with quiet certainty, knowing that your love has already been received. The mirror of the world reflects that calm confidence, and your SP responds in perfect time. There is no greater peace than this, to know that your love is not a question waiting for an answer, but an answer that has already been spoken in silence. The moment of inner union is the true act of creation. It is the place where the seen and unseen merge, where your imagination becomes the language of destiny, and where every heartbeat becomes a silent message of fulfillment that no distance can deny. And from that peace, from that silent knowing, arises the unshakable conviction that what you have felt within must unfold without. This is manifestation through inner certainty, the final and most powerful revelation of all. It is not the fleeting excitement of wishful thinking, nor the desperate hope that something will happen someday. It is the calm assurance that creation is already complete, that your desire exists now, that love is already yours. When this realization takes root, your entire world bows before it, rearranging itself to match your inner decree. Inner certainty is not born of effort. It does not come from forcing yourself to believe, nor from repeating phrases you do not feel. It arises naturally the moment you release the argument with reality. The mind, trained by the world, wants to see before it believes, but the heart, awakened in truth, believes and thus sees. The moment you trust the unseen more than the seen, you have entered the realm of divine certainty, where imagination is not fantasy, but fact waiting to appear. You have walked through the mirror of consciousness. You have entered the sacred union within, and now you stand as the creator of your experience. You no longer send signals, you are the signal. You no longer hope for love, you embody it. You no longer look to the outer world for confirmation. The confirmation lives within your pulse, your breath, your being. And because you have accepted this identity, the universe rushes to bear witness to it. Every great change in life begins as an invisible conviction. Before the miracle is seen, it is felt as truth. Before the door opens, it is already opened in imagination. This is why those who wait remain waiting, and those who believe from within move mountains without lifting a finger. You cannot enter a new reality while doubting its existence. You must assume it as real, and let that assumption govern every thought, every word, every response. When I speak of assumption, I speak of living inwardly from the end. It is not pretending that something is true. It is knowing it so deeply that even the evidence of the senses cannot shake you. The body may not yet see it, the world may not yet show it, but you, in the core of your being, are unmoved. That is inner certainty, when you can walk through contradiction and still declare, it is done. Your SP, your circumstances, your reality, all must yield to the power of this conviction. For consciousness is the only creative force. What you believe to be true about yourself is what the world must echo. If you feel unloved, life will bring mirrors to prove you right. But the instant you declare yourself loved, not hoping, not asking, but being the reflection, begins to change. It cannot resist because you are the cause and the world is only the effect. Think of it as a great stage play, and you are both author and actor. The world performs according to your inner script. When you rewrite the script in imagination, the play must change. It may not happen instantly, but every scene that follows bends toward your new intention. That is the law. It never fails because there is nothing outside of consciousness to oppose it. So I say to you, stop questioning whether. Your love is returning. Stop asking when it will happen. Stop measuring progress with your senses. Instead, go within and ask, what am I assuming right now? Are you assuming union? Or are you assuming delay? Are you assuming fulfillment? Naturally, as though it had been destined from the beginning, because in truth it was. There was never separation, only the illusion of it. There was never waiting, only the unfolding of your inner conviction into form. You are not manifesting love, you are remembering it. You are not attracting your SP, you are awakening to the eternal union that already is. Let this truth settle deep within you. The outer world is nothing more than the echo of your inner belief. Change the belief, and the echo must change. Sustain the feeling of fulfillment long enough, and the world will have no choice but to reflect it perfectly. The moment you cease to waver, the moment you rest completely in the knowing, the unseen becomes seen, the wish becomes fact. And love, the love you have claimed within, stands before you, tangible, real, radiant, just as you always knew it would. In this powerful and transformative speech, you've discovered that true connection transcends words, distance, and time. The telepathic signal that reveals your true love to your SP is not a mystical force outside of you. It is your own imagination, vibrating with faith, emotion, and inner certainty. When you live from the end, when you feel the wish fulfilled, and when you embody the state of being loved, You send a magnetic signal that your SP cannot resist.